Hi, folks. Thanks for watching my monologue. As you may have heard, there's been a recent run on guns and ammunition. I just wanted to let you know that Guns Etc. is in a 10,200 square foot building which holds a lot of guns. So Guns Etc. is open and has a lot of product. Or you can go to gunsetc.com. That's gunsetc.com. And if you like my monologue, please subscribe to our channel using 960 The Patriot. Well, welcome back. Monday, April 13th. I hope you had a good weekend. Blessed holiday. Bill Bennett and I are working on a piece, a lessons learned thought piece. Given the most recent mortality rates and modeling, it's going to turn out that the coronavirus will end up looking a lot like the common flu in America to us, maybe less. The Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation in Washington is now projecting 61,545 deaths from COVID-19, with ranges even lower than that. The flu season of 2017-2018 took 61,099 American lives. For this, we have scared the hell out of the American people, shut down the economy, ended over 17 million jobs, taken trillions of dollars out of the economy, closed churches and synagogues, and massively disrupted life as we know it. And some of our major public officials tell us still there will be no returning to a status quo ante. We will have to get used to a new normal. The current virus may look like the flu or less. America will look and be the worse. A panic and hysteria that did not and will not come true radically degraded this country. What are the major lessons we should learn? How did we go from an ethos of let's roll 19 years ago when America was hit by a major attack from outside forces to let's roll up in a ball? First, New York City is where the coronavirus struck the hardest, and the media is centered in New York City. The media has also long been invested in blaring headlines, trying to attract as much attention for and to a story as possible. Reporting news was replaced with raising alarms and heightening tensions long ago. Lost is the notion that if something is too bad to be true or too good to be true, it probably is not true. Conspiracy theories and extreme rhetoric have replaced fact and reason, as well as reasonableness. This has been aided and abetted by a series of left-wing notions that have come to dominate our politics, giving us a new paranoid style in American politics. In the 1970s, Professor Paul Ehrlich of Stanford gained popularity and notoriety for predicting hundreds of millions of people will starve to death. In the 1980s, we were scared into believing a nuclear winter would create a human and climatic catastrophe where over 1 billion people would be killed from a, quote, precipitous drop in the Earth's temperatures and a widespread failure of crops leading to a deadly famine, close quote. In the 1990s, up through Greta Thunberg's Person of the Year designation by Time, climate change, no longer a warming or a cooling, just change, presaged no tomorrow, while, quote, entire ecosystems are collapsing before our eyes, close quote. We have seen much the same fright-inducing extreme rhetoric with our domestic politics. Barry Goldwater was not just wrong for America in 1964. His policies weren't just too conservative. He was, quote-unquote, psychologically unfit to be the president, with certified medical doctors publicly opining, quote, he had the same pathological makeup as Hitler, Castro, Stalin, and other known schizophrenic leaders, close quote. On and on could go about how the left in America, with its mainstream media enablers and ideological soulmates, have ramped up our political rhetoric beyond any reason or ability to make calm and rational assessments. Donald Trump, for example, is not wrong or conservative. He's an existential threat to America and worse than Hitler, and of course responsible for all the deaths from COVID-19. We've been conditioned to hyperbolic exaggeration. We've been numbed into implausible ravings. Thus, when the coronavirus came to America, we were primed enough to accept and cower in front of models of death, guessing that 2 million of us would be killed. And now, after the damage was ignited by shutdowns and panic, the social destruction of this irresponsible fear-mongering will take a very long time to undo, if, despite prognostications from Andrew Cuomo and others, we ever can return to a new normal. Assuming the worst here, whipping the population into a frenzy and panic is, as Abraham Lincoln warned us long ago, not healthy for the perpetuation of our political institutions, or any other institutions. As part of our national affright, we engaged in a national shuttering of our best forces of composition, such as churches and synagogues, schools, and our venues for physical exercise, just at the time of their greatest needs, service, and traffic. Thus, no surprise, over the course of the past 6 weeks, suicide hotline calls, alcohol and other substance abuse, and domestic violence have increased, and more social destruction will ensue. As the COVID-19 deaths turn into our regular flu numbers, after all this, let us never again surrender our common and rational sense and thought. Lesson 2. Though the houses of worship were closed this past weekend, the message of strength, courage, and be not afraid should be our first instinct as Americans. When experts warn us, listen, but verify, rationally. Every patient given a grim prognosis will usually want a second opinion. We should be open to that as a polity as well. Lesson 3. Disaggregate the data and realize we are better and stronger than all being told to go home and hide under our beds and behind our doors. If there is a vulnerable population, and there is here, encourage appropriate and reasonable measures. Resist zealous cosmologizing of problems that lead to vast distributions of misery and hardship. The chances of a younger person and an older person acquiring this disease, much less dying from it, are simply not the same, and both are small. No doctor would treat a 40-year-old from Boise the same way he or she would treat a 70-year-old from Queens. Neither should our nation treat the body politic all the same way. Lesson 4. Understand there is public health and there is public health. Does a virus that may take as many Americans as a seasonal flu require an upending of literally everything in our life, work, and recreational activity, affecting so much more of our public health? Does it require a response that will lead to other deaths and diseases of despair, from substance abuse and suicide ideation to violence and curbing of constitutional rights? And finally, Lesson 5. Do not be impervious to good or hopeful news. When models suggest less than 61,000 or 100,000 or 240,000 deaths could result, report the lower numbers too. Compare those raw numbers to other numbers we have taken for granted without even knowing it. When data reveals that there is a 0.006% chance of dying from this disease in America, report that. When evidence shows there may be extant medicines that can help cure this virus, encourage rather than deny and anathematize that. If there is one overarching lesson uniting all others, it's to remember our Lincoln. Early on, he asked, at what point then is the approach of danger to be expected in our country? He answered, if danger ever reaches us, it must spring up amongst us, cannot come from abroad. If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. As a nation of free men, we must live through all time, or die by suicide. As Robertson Davies has written, beware of the cynics and dampers. Bill Bennett puts it this way: a retreat into cynicism corrodes the heart of its holder. I worry about corroding the heart of America and the soul. I worry about doctrines and prescriptions of paternalism and state power grabs rather than encouraged behavior and truthful reportage wedded to honest and rational analysis. The opposite will give us a destruction of self-government through centralization and even more cynicism. Ignoring these lessons will augur poorly for us in the near term and perhaps severely in our next crisis, setting precedents we may never be able to overcome. Let's roll was the right response 19 years ago. It should be again. Thank you. I'm Seth Leibson. We'll be right back.